you been wondering how organisations around the world are solving plastic pollution? Or whether our individual actions are making any difference? Or even how to get something going yourself? Tune in for conversations with me, Nat, founder of City to Sea, and my inspirational guests from around the world. Welcome to Nat's Chats. My guest today is Jo Chidley, the founder of Beauty Kitchen, and is regarded by many, including myself, as a true pioneer of sustainable beauty. And we're not just talking about the ingredients, but as the packaging as well. I've met Jo in real life, and everything they say about her is true. So it's a huge honour. I'm very excited to have Jo on Nat's Chats for a World Refill Day special. Welcome, Jo.
Thanks very much for having me in that lovely introduction.
Well, I mean every word of it. And we got to spend some time together at COP. So you're a real powerhouse in the sector. So I'm happy that we get to, talk to you and introduce you to more of City to Sea's audience. So before we head back into the past and I ask you, all about setting up Beauty Kitchen and other things that are happening, what's exciting you at the moment in the world of sustainable beauty?
So I think for me, what's exciting is that there has been a lot more active collaboration between large companies and small companies. And there's organisations that have kind of come out of that. So if I think of the Sustainable Beauty Coalition, for instance, that I'm part of, that's an offshoot of the British Beauty Council. And that is a range from across the whole personal care and beauty industry, from brands to retailers to certifiers, and the brands and retailers are both small and large. And I think there's true collaboration then coming together to solve some of these big, ugly problems that we currently have in our industry. That's really exciting. And then the other thing that always excites me is new ingredients, or the way we think about ingredients, because that's why I got into beauty in the first place. So anything from the upcycled side of things, so utilising the waste streams that are coming out of either other industries or our own industries and creating new and beautiful formulations and products from there. I think that's something that excites me.
Great. What do you think is driving that change, that shift in collaboration? Because is it more that people are realizing that they can't solve those big, as you call them, the big ugly problems, or the big sort of environmental sort of systemic problems? They can't change that individually or as organizations on their own?
I think that some of that. I also think that there has been a bit of a movement where although they think they won't be able to solve it themselves, and active collaboration, a lot of the larger organizations are trying to understand how they can facilitate and be an active participant in that, probably selfishly in terms of the knowledge transfer that they can get back from that. So I think sometimes things maybe don't start out in that altruistic manner, but I can see already that there is a lot that's come out of that that's good for the overall industry. And I think if that keeps on happening, the larger organizations will realize that being a more circular and sustainable way is not just commercially right, more profitable, but it also opens up other opportunities within the market that they've never even thought about before.
That is exciting. I'm heartened to hear of those shifts, because I think the world needs them, definitely. More collaboration, less competition, and more sharing of learnings. And the other thing that was lighting you up with ingredients, and you're definitely an ingredients geek, aren't you? It's safe to say. With a chemist background.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, and that's where, the upcycled aspect of things is amazing, because it means that, again, it's very circular. You're taking waste from one, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the beauty industry. It can be from other industries. And you're thinking of ways of being able to make that into a new product. But hopefully that can keep being a regenerative approach in terms of circularity, that waste becomes something else. The other aspect for me is microalgaes. So we know microalgaes are great for skincare, they're great for beauty products because of the way that they protect themselves and how they are active ingredients. And at the moment, less than 3% of all microalgaes in the world have even been identified. So it's such a huge resource. And the other thing is that when you farm microalgaes, which is in a big bioreactor, it's like a big greenhouse. It's more technical than that, but that's really what it looks like. The great thing about that is that when the microalgaes, they don't need a lot to be able to become microalgaes. They then absorb CO2 and release oxygen back into the atmosphere. And they also create energy that can be turned into electricity. I mean, for me, what is not to like about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they make you look beautiful.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to? And the fact that organizations have got the opportunity to support academic research in identifying microalgaes. So again, it's this whole circular approach that touches and brings different industries together in a collaborative way.
And what products have you got that actually use those microalgaes? That sounds like something that is definitely picking you up.
Yeah, so our Seahorse Plankton Plus range has 2 microalgaes that seahorses eat.
Oh, it's a Seahorse Microalgae Plus, did you say?
Yeah, Seahorse Plankton Plus.
Plus, nice. It doesn't contain seahorses.
No, it definitely doesn't. It supports seahorses in loads of different ways, from donating to the Seahorse Trust here in the UK, who do some wonderful work in protecting their environment and understanding, what seahorses need. The Seahorse Trust, through to the microalgaes and how that's manufactured and everything that's then good from a skincare perspective. So yeah, that's and my favorite product is Seahorse Plankton Plus facial oil. And the reason for that is there's no water in it. So it's an oil-based product, which means it preserves itself. So Lush coined the term of self-preservation that I like to use as if it's mine, which is great. And I know Lush won't mind that at all. Because self-preservation is the easiest way for anyone that's interested in making beauty products themselves. That's where to start. If you start with oil-based products, you're not having to get into the complication of preservatives because it preserves itself and it lasts so much longer than when you use products that do have preservatives in them.
Which in itself is more sustainable as well, isn't it?
Completely.
So let's talk about packaging, because I think you were definitely the first brand that I ever came across that was using refillable containers. Like I'd seen some brands switch to glass, but you were the first one that I saw and I thought, oh, this is innovative. And how long ago was that?
So we started asking customers to return their packaging. So we didn't set up an initial, a fully functional reusable packaging system in the early days. All we were doing was getting customers to return their empties. Yeah. And that was back in 2016. So what's that, 6 years ago now? And the reason for that is that blue glass is beautiful. I love blue glass. It looks amazing. It protects the products and the essential oils really well. But blue glass is very expensive financially, but it's also very expensive to the environment because of the cobalt that's mined. Yeah. And when you finish your product in blue glass, if you put it into the recycling, 99% of it won't be recycled because it needs to go to a specialist recycler for that to happen. As soon as we found that out, that was our journey in terms of reusable packaging systems, in thinking, well, actually, even being recycled, why would you want to crush something like that down and spend the energy to then build it back up anyway, when you could bring it back, clean it, refill it and send it back out? And that's really where it came from. So we started, and the great thing was that Holland and Barrett is a retailer. We're accepting the returns on our behalf as well. So it meant that it could give the customer access to a store, but then also access through the postal system as well. And that's where it started.
And have you just focused on glass, or have you shifted to other materials as well for your returns?
Yeah, so what's happened is that out of that project to just save the beautiful blue glass, was born our other organisation, which is ReRe, which is a reusable packaging system for FMCG products, starting with personal care and then moving into other categories. And our clients at the moment that we can talk about for Riri include Unilever, Lush, Elemis, who are all prepared to share leased packaging. And that's what we've done. So we've become a reuse provider alongside Beauty Kitchen as a customer of that, which means that more people can access that system and more brands and retailers can then participate in the circular economy.
Which is a hugely exciting development. I mean, for brands to agree to forego their bespoke fancy packaging and have a unified form of packaging, albeit with maybe a different label. I mean, that's a huge achievement to get brands to agree to do that.
It is. And, you know, it's all really located in this idea of what is refill. And that's what I find, so because refill and reuse are so interlinked. And for us, you know, all we are doing is replacing the single use packaging, which is predominantly plastic, generally speaking, with reusable packaging formats. And that can be either glass, aluminium, or stainless steel, depending on what's right for the product category. So if you think of skincare and you think of oil, for instance, a facial oil, that, you know, generally it's a 30 ml, it's a 30 ml bottle. So generally you have that in glass, and you have a pipette that you can then, you know, get the product from. If you're thinking of something like a body wash, or if we move into home care and we think of laundry liquid, they're much larger containers. So aluminium and stainless steel make sense for those product types. But it just means that we can disrupt the monoculture of plastic that's out there by introducing materials that have been used by, you know, the industry for a very, very long time. So it means that the industry is familiar with them rather than it being some kind of new fancy material. They understand these material formats. So that's given us a bit of an advantage. The other advantage is when you run pilots, and when we've run pilots, the brands have found that some of their lower selling SKUs are now their higher selling SKUs because people can buy them in reusable formats. Yeah. And we have just launched in Marks and Spencer's just a few weeks ago. We are doing Marks and Spencer's home care. So if you think washing up liquid, laundry liquid, fabric conditioner, and it's their own brand and it's in reusable packaging. And the way that Marks and Spencer's are encouraging their customer base is they're saying, you know, you buy it, we refill it, or you return it and we refill it. I can't remember the exact thing. However, they sold out in the first 24 hours twice all of the products, and the products now are outselling their single-use products by 100%.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, all the studies that we've done through Refill and through City2C have shown that the British public is absolutely crying out for more refill and reuse options. But I think what you're doing with Riri there, certainly in the case of Marks and Spencer's, where you're giving them pre-fills, that's obviously addressing that barrier of people who haven't brought their own container, or they haven't got time, or they're to do their own refill. So that's really exciting to hear that it's literally been flying off the shelves.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know, the advice and the coaching and support that we've got from you guys in terms of it's really difficult to get customers to do one thing and make a big leap to something else. Generally, it's like smaller little incremental parts that you need to do, and that's really all we're doing. Is we've, you know, it's two different packaging, and they still sell in the stores that they have this. They still sell the single use as well at the moment, because obviously there's some A/B testing going on to see what are people's preference. And they have been blown away by the appetite from the everyday person to just have reusable, refillable containers.
Yeah. So you sound very busy, Jo. So you've got Beauty Kitchen still thriving and doing its thing, and you've got Riri, which is starting out in the world and really trying to address the refill and reuse system en masse. So from what I'm hearing, it's really about making it more accessible to everyday shoppers, and you're launching in a number of supermarkets as well. Obviously, we're working with you a little bit around sort of the behaviour change and communications element at City to Sea. But what do you feel like is the vision for it? Talk me through sort of what you see maybe in the next kind of couple of years happening when the average shopper goes to your average supermarket. What's that going to look like, do you think?
So I was asked this question only a couple of days ago at the
What, you mean I'm not original?
At the Circular Shift, which is a conference run by the Cradle to Cradle Institute. So Beauty Kitchen is also certified Cradle to Cradle, and most people haven't heard of Cradle to Cradle, but what it basically means is it's a regenerative circular approach to how you design your products and services, both from a manufacturing perspective, but also then from a product as a service aspect. And they did say, you know, if you come back in 2 years' time, Joe, to talk to us about Riri, you know, what do you think you were saying? And what I hope to be saying is that when you go into wherever you shop, whether it's online or in store, whether it's a convenience store or an everyday grocer or a specialist beauty retailer, that you have access to reusable packaging across the store. And the other thing I would love people to be saying is, why did it take us so long to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think it feels like it's the sort of the brave new world, that it'll be here and then suddenly we'll be looking back and be like, what were we doing?
What were we thinking?
And when you look at your recycling bins, or maybe we don't even need recycling bins by then because everything's in returnable, reusable packaging.
Yeah, and the thing is, maybe you still need the bins, but rather than it being for recycling, it's all your reuse stuff that's gone in there. And we, you know, collect it from you guys. Do you know what I mean? So the home collection of recycling is no longer, it's just reuse.
Yeah, collecting your reusables.
Yeah.
So it feels like a really exciting time. Like we've definitely noticed over, I think particularly over the last year. I mean, for us, World Refill Day last year was the first year that it went really, truly global and had an incredible reach. But I do feel like even last year there was some, a big wave of new announcements from supermarkets about starting to do the loose packaging and plastic-free aisles. But certainly this year's felt even more exciting. And now it feels like there's this competitive space almost to like get the refill and reuse products out there, and across every sector now I think we're seeing that. So I think your vision is pretty achievable, Joe, in the next couple of years.
I really hope that that's what happens, you know, because I do think there's been lots of people within different industries across different sectors that know that a circular business model is more productive, it gives more opportunity, it's more commercially and operationally viable and scalable. And, you know, all of that groundwork that's been happening for the past 20 years and beyond, that it will come to fruition really quickly. And I think FMCG in particular is a way to be able to make that happen that then has an amplification within other, you know, sectors.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So in the meantime, whilst we're getting there and we're still having our daily lives flooded with single-use plastic, what are your favorite plastic-free beauty hacks that you champion?
So I always think that everyone has beauty products in their bathroom that either you didn't quite like and it's still quite full, or there's maybe just some at the end and they think, I'm not quite sure what to do with it. If there's anything that's in that bathroom that you could either pass on to someone else to use that might like it, or could you use it as a hand mask, a foot mask, you know, something that, because people think when you get a product and it says what it is, that's the only thing that you can use it for. And that is not the case. If something is creamy, you can use it as a mask. Yeah. If something is oily, you can use that as a hair oil. It doesn't, you know, so I think it's that multifunctionality of just thinking, you know, what would happen. And I think that for me then creates less waste, but it also makes you kind of focus in on the plethora of products that you've probably got that you don't either need or you don't necessarily use, and just bring that to mind. The other aspect is things that are single use, so single use, whether it's face masks or wipes, go with the more durable. It'll cost you less money. They feel more valuable, to use. So we've got, I've got a couple of small children who have very snotty noses. And, I've not used wipes in the 3 years that we've had them. We have little bamboo squares that get washed, and yeah, they look grubby and grotty, but they actually feel better, both for me to use and on the children. It's just stuff like that. Stop single use.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I do. I love my washable makeup remover pads. I've been using those for about 5 years. I just wouldn't go back to anything disposable there. Well, Jo, thank you so much. And thanks for your special offer for World Refill Day. Just to let everybody know that for the month of June and July, for Plastic Free July as well, Beauty Kitchen are generously offering a 25% discount across the whole range. We'll put the code in the comments and in the chat. So that's really exciting. Thanks, Jo. I look forward to, well, the whole team's excited about that anyway. And happy World Refill Day. And thanks for having a chat with me.
No, thank you. Happy World Refill Day, everyone. And thanks very much for your time, Natalie.
Thanks, Jo.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Nat's Chats. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.